appreciate it, Randy, and it's a pleasure to be here. I just want to tell you guys how lucky you are, not because I'm here, because to listen to Trent and listen to the coaches yesterday. If you're really paying attention to the three guys that spoke last night and Trent, you're picking up some things. You can't maybe impart all of them into your program, but you can take certain parts of it and make sure that they transcend into your fundamentals for your players. So take it in, man. Take it in. I've been coaching for 40 years, and I'm sitting back here learning. Last night, saw all three presentations, and my mind's working. I don't have a college team to go get to impart it on right now, but my mind's working because I want to try to help as many coaches as I possibly can down the road here. So it's a pleasure to be here. I spoke a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago at the National Convention about the qualities of a winning athlete, a winning coach, a winning athlete in a winning program. And it was something I really enjoyed doing. I'm going to impart a little bit into this talk on taking your practice to the next level. I really feel like having a practice schedule, have a real clear practice plan so that you know what you're going to do when you go out to practice and you know what you're going to do with your team is really important. And I'm going to just try to do the best I can to tell you how important it is to me. I started coaching when I was 23 years old. I was Division I baseball coach at the University of Vermont. I had played baseball and football in college at the University of Maine. Went back, didn't sign professionally, had to try out, all that kind of thing. Thought I was going to play a little professional football as a kicker. But then I got offered for $600 to coach a club team at the University of Vermont. And so I made a decision to give up that other dream and start coaching. And I knew at the end of the summer that they were going to turn it into a Division I program. And if I did a good enough job, I might be named as baseball coach at the University of Vermont and get a good start to what I thought might be a good career down the road. So I started when I was 23 years old. I got guys calling me up now on the phone. Go, Coach, how you doing, man? How's it going? I go, good, good. How you doing? Well, I'm talking to a player now, former player. Yeah, I got my wife, I got 4 kids, I got 7 grandchildren. I'm 64 years old. I'm going, Jesus, I was 65. I'm 1 year older than him when I was coaching. I was 23, he was 22 at the time. And so I've created relationships over a period of time because it's been something that's really been important to me. I wanted to win games just like anybody else. And I want to try to help you prepare to win games, but I want you to understand that the most important job you have is try to prepare these kids for life, teach them the lessons they need to learn on their way to try to winning games. And also, this great game of baseball we have, has a lot of lessons in it that'll help these kids be successful before it's all over. I'm going to show you a video real quickly. And this video will start off my presentation on taking your practice to another level, to the next level. This guy has a total opposite philosophy than I have. And I think you'll see that by this video here.
We're talking about practice. We're talking about practice. We ain't talking about the game. We're talking about practice, man. When you come in the arena and you see me play, don't you? Absolutely. You see me give everything I got, right? But we're talking about practice right now. We're talking about practice. Man, look, I hear you. It's funny to me too. Yeah, I mean, it's strange to me too. But we talking about practice, man. We're not even talking about the game, the actual game, when it matters. We're talking about practice. How the hell can I make my teammates better by practice?
We got a different philosophy on life. So that is what kind of brought me to this. When I saw that video, I said, I need to do something about this. Because in my mind, practice, I used to love practice. I used to love to go to practice. I used to love to think about practice. I used to like the plan of practice. I used to like the idea that the practice was over, something got accomplished for the next goal. So I've got a few things that I want to talk to you about. And the first one is that it's still, in my mind, the same as it was 38 or 40 years ago. I've been coaching baseball now for 40 years. It's still the same. If you work hard, you see the benefits. If you don't work hard, don't expect to reap the benefits. Kids like to work hard. You may not think they do. You may think kids have changed. I keep hearing this. Kids are different. Kids have changed. How do you put up with them now? They got a whole different, mindset now. It's only because we've let them get that way. It's only because our parents have let them get that way. It's only because we've allowed it to get that way. It's only because we've listened to the school board, okay, I can't make these kids run. I can't make them cut their hair. I can't make them do something that has involved discipline because I might get disciplined. So I want you to try to get that mindset out. These kids really are looking for something positive. The fundamentals are still the key. We talked about that a little bit, this throwing program, the throwing drills. If you bypass these things and try to get beyond it, you're going to find yourself in trouble before it's all over. So when you're putting a practice together, you want to understand the fundamentals. Being able to execute the fundamentals are going to be what take you to a championship level. Not some shortcut, not bypassing it, not some trickery. It's going to be the fundamentals that take you there before it's all over. Being honest with your players. One of the things I mentioned in the ABCA convention was that it is so important for you to have your players understand what their role is, what they can do to help the team, what they can do to get themselves on the field more. Everybody wants something for nothing nowadays. I want to be able to get on the field, I want to play, but I'm not necessarily really want to work at it as much as the next guy. And so you've got to get rid of that mindset before it's all over. And in my practice plans, I want to make sure my kids knew what their role is, what they had to do when they came down to practice, what they had to do to make the practice go smoothly. Pride is pride. It hasn't changed 50 years ago, 50 years from now. Pride will be pride. When you go out and practice, you've got pride in your practice, you'll see pride in your game. You'll see pride in the result before it's all over. If you're sloppy, I know all of you are teachers, and I've taught before. And if you went into the classroom and you didn't have a real clear plan, what happened that day? Nothing. Nobody learned. You walked out of there feeling unfulfilled. You realize you failed for that day. You didn't really get the point across. If I wake up in the morning, retired as I am, and I don't have a plan, and I start to work out and I don't really have a plan, I might get something done, I take a phone call, something else happens, next thing I know, by the time it's 11:30 and it's time to eat, and I haven't done what I wanted to do. But if I've got a plan, the night before, I'm going to run this, I'm going to do this many sit-ups, I'm going to do this many pull-ups or push-ups, I'm going to do this, I'm going to accomplish this. By 11 o'clock, I've got something done. So you've got to go out to practice with a clear-cut plan in your mind. There's no shortcuts to success. Any success that has come with our teams along the way, there has never been, a thought in my mind that somebody else is outworking our team. I've always wanted them to feel like they had an edge when they went to the ball game. We've worked harder than you. We're tougher than you. We're tougher mentally than you. We're tougher physically than you. My coach is going to beat your coach's ass at home plate when he goes up to hand out the lineup. That's what I wanted my players to think all the time. And that was my mentality. I wanted to know that I had an edge in that guy when I handed in the lineup card, that I had worked harder than him, I was prepared more than him, my team was prepared more than him, and I'd worked harder, and I was tougher, and if you want to let it go right here on the home plate, we'll get it going. You win as much by your kids playing hard as you do by talent. You're going to go, oh, man, I got a talent. I've had talented kids before that weren't winners. I've had winners before that weren't all that talented. I picked one guy up here named Casey Stone, who played for me back in 1999, 2000, 2001, 2002. And Casey Stone was undersized, but he had a heart bigger than his whole body. He was fast, quick, he had one little tool going for him. He would not strike out. He had a heart of gold, and he was a tremendous competitor. And I remember getting in my office in the fall, after the fall baseball was, and I sat him on the couch and I go, Casey, I don't know if this is going to work out. I don't, you got to work on your throwing, you got to work on your hitting, you're a little bit out of control, but you got good speed, but I just don't. And he sat in front of that couch and looked me right in the eye. He goes, don't you ever give up on me, Coach. Don't ever give up on me. And I go, that's all I needed to hear. If he felt that way, I wasn't going to give up on him. I said, all right, I'll see you at practice tomorrow. And next thing I know, we cannot play without this kid. We can't play without him in the lineup. He's our leadoff hitter. He's the guy that stirs the drink. And we play in a regional at home, and we're up by 4 or 5 runs at the end. We're getting ready to go to Omaha. And Casey Stone's out left field. I go, that kid deserves something different. So I went to the umpire at home plate and said, listen, I don't want to make a mockery of this thing. We're up. We're going to win this thing, I think. I'm going to take my left fielder out because he deserves 7,000 people who can tell him to let them know how valuable that kid's been to our program. Came there on a book scholarship. So I took him out just before the inning started, and 7,000 people, gave him a standing ovation because the kid had no shortcuts to success. And he was played hard every single day. And so if you can get everybody in the team to understand, if we hustle, we play hard, and we run hard to first base, we touch second base on a fly ball, and we hustle in and out between innings, and we create this atmosphere, then we've already got an edge in this other team. You've got to have an edge when you go into the game. How many games have you played that are close one-run games? We've all been in them. We might have 13, 15, one year we won, I think we won 18 one-run games. That makes a difference in your season. Play a little harder. Moved up on a ball in dirt. Scored on a ball from second base. People wouldn't have. Tagged on a fly ball. Made a great slide. Stole a base. Got a bunt down. All these little things. Playing hard, hustling, and a little bit of toughness will get you to the next level. Execute and handle the bunt game. Being able to turn double plays. Being able to play defense. Being able to pitch and throw strikes. Being able to run the bases aggressively. All these things, I'm thinking, are ingredients to becoming a championship team, so they've got to be imparted in your practice. And as a coach, you must change with the times and adjust according to your team's abilities. It's a really big deal. Successful players, don't give up on these guys now. Challenge them. The successful players want to learn. So you got to teach when you go to practice. You got to have a plan to teach. Successful players and winning players are tough mentally and physically, so you've got to challenge them in practice. You can't just throw out the ball, let's take some batting practice. We've got to challenge people in practice. We've got to challenge these kids in practice. Competitive. Successful players and teams are competitive in everything they do, so you must compete in practice. You've got to figure out a way during practice to compete. When you compete, you bring out the best in these kids. Consistent in everything they do. Good players are. So you must repeat. You must go over your rundowns. I never wanted us to screw up a rundown. I never wanted us to screw up a bunt. Because at Clemson, I had some guy up there in the 15th row who played with Lou Gehrig. He's going, don't you guys ever bunt? He didn't get a bunt down. He's 85 years old. He's trying to tell me how to bunt. And so I wanted to make sure that I'd have to listen to that guy in the 15th row. I wanted to make sure we got the bunt down. So I was intently interested in imparting bunting, in our schedules. I coached third base, so I wanted to be in control of whether or not that guy was out or safe at home, or this guy's going from first to third, or moving up the balls in the dirt, or tagging on a certain fly ball. I wanted to be in control of that, and that's why I like coaching third base. And I wanted to make sure that we were prepared for that. They all like to work hard. They all have a sense of satisfaction when they leave. If you're teaching a class and you make them work, they might go home and bitch about it, complain about it, this guy works me too hard. But in the end, he's learning something, and he's going to take it with him, and he's going to value it. So make the kids work hard in practice. Push them to their limits at times. 2 or 3 times a week, or a couple times a week, I'll push them to a point where they're really, really working hard, so that when the games came, they felt much better about it, and they felt, oh man, we can handle anything. They love to win, so you must play in practice to win. Winning players love to hustle. They see the value of hustle. They see how it takes them to another level. So you must expect hustle in practice. Nothing bothers me more than to run a scrimmage in practice, and the coach decides it's okay to run 70% down first base. It's okay to peel off. It's okay to just run half-ass to second base and touch second base on the ball in the air. It's okay to just kind of come in and out between practice. Because what you're doing is you're training that engine to work at 70 or 80%. So my philosophy was I want to train this engine to be going 100%. That means you don't have to wear them out in practice all the time, but you do have to, when you play, and when you do expect fundamentals, you better expect them to be done right, because if you don't, you won't see it in the game. And all good people want discipline. I don't know why everybody is so afraid of discipline. It just blows my mind. I could stand up here for an hour. I don't know what you guys got to do time, but I'll stay here forever. But I've been to Omaha. We went to Omaha, and we sat next to a team. We had to play the next day. The night before, they bring everybody in, and they give you barbecue and all that kind of stuff. Our kids were clean shaven. haircuts, they look sharp, they all had Clemson stuff on, they all look sharp. I don't see that now there, which bothers me a little bit, but the team that's next to us, was shaggy, ragtag, looked like a bunch of, it was Arizona State. Don't put that out. Okay? They were number one in the country. We had to play them next day. I looked at my players, I go, they just kind of whispered down my line, these guys ass the ball. You just gotta kick these guys ass. And, okay, coach, well, we went out the next day and did that. And I just felt like our team was sharper, crisper, a little bit more disciplined, a little more focused, wasn't sloppy, because lack of discipline becomes sloppy. Sloppy becomes losing. It's just like A plus B plus, equals C. A plus B equals C. That's going to be like that. 50 years from now, no discipline, sloppy, losing, always. Don't be afraid. If you ask something out of your high school kids that your parents can't quite get done, but now they will, your parents are going to love you. Geez, you made my kid cut his hair. Oh, geez, you made my kid look sharp. Oh, geez, you made my kid tuck his shirt in. Oh, geez, you made my kid wear his uniform right. In their heart, they're glad you're doing it because they couldn't get it done. Team goals. I made promises. Every time a kid came into my office, I made a promise to him. I said, I tell you, I'm going to give you 2 things I can guarantee you. One of them is, if you choose to come to school here, I will work you harder, teach you more, and will develop you better than anywhere else you can go. I was convinced of that. I felt comfortable in saying that because of the track record we had and all the kids were off playing, and I said, we'll be in the hunt to go to Omaha. So the other thing I can promise you is if you decide to come here and play for me, that you will be stuck with me for the rest of your life. I'll be in your circle. You call me, you text me, I'm with you, I'm on it. The relationships I have with my players is really unbelievable. They call you Father's Day, Christmas, whatever it might be, your birthday. Not all of them, but I'm getting texts all the time, and it just reaffirms the idea of why I coached. Yes, I like to go home, all that kind of stuff is really cool, but in the end, it's all about the relationships before it's all over. So I made some promises, and so your promises have to be put into your practices. You can't make promises and have them be hollow. Develop and improve your players. I mentioned a little bit of this, a little redundant. You got to hard work, repeat, make sure you throw your agilities in there, all those types of things that are really important. Develop mentally and tough players. This is part of practice. Competitive spirit, instilled in competition. Developing tradition. This is a big deal. I called a guy from Omaha who works, who did the ground screw at Omaha, Jesse Quaves. I said, Jesse, I need home plate from Rosenblatt Stadium. He goes, okay. He says, well, Coach, it's frozen. It's in the ground. It's frozen. I said, go torch it out. Send it to me. I'll pay for the shipping. I need the home plate. I've been there for a couple of times, so I knew it pretty good. He sends me home plate. We got home plate. Put it on the wall. Every time we walked into the dugout, the guys tapped home plate, ran out, touched the sign, and said Omaha. So that before practice started, they had an idea why we were working. This is part of our tradition. This is part of our DNA every single day we came down to practice. So to develop some type of tradition that makes sense to them. Great hitting team, bunting team, pitching defense, we mentioned that a little bit, base running. These things are important. Hustling team, demanding excellence, discipline, and perfection in practice. If you have sloppy practice, expect sloppy game. We have a bunch station going on, and I look around, and these guys, oh, it's okay, it's foul. Oh, I popped it up, no big deal. That's when I go ballistic. That's when I break fungos. That's when I start giving these blue steely eyes that they talk about. I do not appreciate poor execution in practice because I know that I'm going to get that in the game. If I see it in practice, I trust you, I can put you in. So you tell these kids, if you do a good job in practice, I'm watching. I'll watch everything in practice. Put a stamp on your team, attention to detail. I'll give you one quick story here. We're going to be talking at 4 o'clock, so just hang tight. I play college football. How many of you guys are football coaches? You got an idea? Okay. Well, I played. I was a monster man, a 52 monster defense. I captained the defense. If I touched you, you were going down. My fingers fall out, you were going down. That's all there is to it. But then I'm also on the punt team, and so the center's here, the guard's over here, and my job was one step back, and the block, and then contain. Okay? So the coach comes down the line, and I was captain of the team, I was a good player, and he comes down the line, I can still see him now, he goes, Leggett, how far are you from his foot? I said, I'm right about here. He blew me up. Right about here? How can you be right about here? You're 6 inches. The outside of your front of your foot is 6 inches from the left side of his heel. If you're 5 inches, you get pinned inside, you can't contain. If you're 7 inches, he sneaks inside and blocks the punt. You're 6 inches late. You understand me? He undressed me in front of the team. I just said, yeah, I said, okay. I'm never going to forget this lesson my whole life. So 43 years later, I'm driving up through Maine. My wife from New Brunswick, we come back down through Orono, Maine. I said, let's stop on the campus and watch a little football practice, early August. And they're having a scrimmage. So I'm watching football practice, and I'm about ready to leave. And I see this white-haired guy way down there. That's my old coach. It's Walt Abbott. I haven't seen him in 43 years. I go down, I go, hey, Walt, how you doing? He goes, Jack Leggett, number 21, my captain. How about that 6 inches? 43 years later. I go, you've been thinking about that 6 inches for 43 years? I almost cried. I said, I've been thinking about it for 43 years. I've been using it with my team. Attention to detail, the little things that make a big difference. So he knew he was making an impression on me 43 years ago. It made an impression on me. I've been using it with my team with rundowns. No, you're 6 feet on the inside of the line. You're not 5 feet. You're not 7 feet. I heard myself talking like him all the time. You know? So I figured that when you say something to these kids, and they're listening, and they'll remember for the rest of their lives. Can you imagine 43 years, that's the first thing he says to me? How about that? Okay, I got it. So the attention to detail is important. Finishing off games, I always wanted to win. Everybody does this in football. Fourth quarter, you know, put the helmet on, you know, whatever, fourth quarter. We're not going to beat the fourth quarter. In my mind, I'm going, I don't want to get beat in the last 3 innings. I want to win the first 3. I want to win the middle 3. And I want to kick your ass in the last 3. That was my mindset. The last 3, I never wanted fatigue, mental fatigue. I never wanted a lack of fundamentals, a lack of execution to hurt us in the last 3 innings. So you got to do something in your practices to play 3-inning games, play 2-inning games, put a guy on second base, create some kind of pressure situation you might see in the game, and compete. You get what you ask for. These are things we talked about. These are all things that I never want to miss a cutoff man. So we talked about that. I want to make sure we never had a ball drop in, so we communicated. We make sure our communication was right on point. I want to make sure first and third defense. If you guys run first and third defense right, or first and third offense, and you get your bunts down, and you execute the bunt, and you defend against the bunt, you got a good chance of winning. Been to Omaha, playing the University of Tennessee. We lay down a bunt. After a rain delay, they throw it down by the tarp. We go to Omaha. I'm in Omaha, and then the team Louisiana Lafayette lays down a safety squeeze. We don't know where it's going to fare it out, pick it up, throw it over first base of his head, and now we're on a bus at 5 o'clock in the morning and going home. So you've got to be able to handle the bunt, you've got to be able to execute the bunt. Something that was important, I want to make sure that was all part of it. Developing teamwork, unselfishness. I always have a rule that if my guy, man on second base, hits the ball to the right side, you come back dugout, you better be getting 25 high fives. You've got to recognize execution. Because I got just 25, if I hit the ball to the right side, I want to do it again. It's like a dog. He does something good, you pet him, he wants to do it again, right? Well, the same thing with a player. I watched the Braves play a couple years ago on TV, and this is where I discussed it. They're better now. Okay. Freddie Freeman is on. He's up at bat. He's the best player. Second guy in second base, nobody out. He's up there. It's a hard ground ball to second base. Guy goes over to third. He's out at first. He comes back to the dugout. This whole guy's lined up. The dugout is talking to each other. Freddie Freeman walks back behind him. Not one person even looked at him, recognized him, patted him on the rear end. Nothing. Manager, nobody. I said, the culture's wrong. They have not got the right culture. They're not understanding how important that is to move that guy over. And that this guy gave himself up, or at least took a good swing to make it happen. So we tried to create a culture in practice that every time a guy got a bunt down, moved a runner over, did a sacrifice fly, whatever it was, he did something execution-wise in the work, and then you recognize it, his teammates recognize it before it's all over. If you guys run the bases, put pressure on the other team, you'll win, because pressure causes problems. Once you have these problems, once you have these ideas, your goals are set, then you've got to incorporate them into practice, plan on these. I used to think at night, when I went home at night, I talked to my wife a little bit, I eat dinner, but I was thinking about practice, which is not all that cool. But I was thinking about practice. And when I get up in the morning, eat breakfast, I was thinking about practice. I went to work, I was thinking about practice. From 10 to 12 in the morning, I said, nobody come in here. I'm my coaches, and give me feedback, what we need to work on also. But no phone calls. I don't want anybody coming in from outside talking to me. I need to make sure that I know what everybody is doing on that field. I need to make sure that these guys are getting out exactly what I want them to get out of this practice. I hand wrote every practice I've ever had for 40 years. I didn't do this Microsoft, Word or whatever you guys want. I didn't, Microsoft Office or whatever. I didn't have it. All I did, in my mind, I had to write it down. If I wrote it down, boom, there. These guys going here. These guys going here. That's going to work. That's not going to work. That's going to work. In my mind, I had written, and of course I had a form, all that kind of thing. I got a little organizational skills. And so I put down practice in my mind. When I wrote it down, that's how I knew that this thing was going to work out, go right. Work on your weaknesses, accent on your strengths. That's an important part of it. Know what you got on your team. Build from the previous practice. Don't try to do too much. I was really good at trying to do too much at one time. And that was one of my flaws. And players come to practice with a plan. I would challenge your players to come down to practice every time with a plan. Why are you down here? Why are you down here early? What are you working on? Oh, Coach, I got to work on my backhand. I'm going to work on turn double play. I want to work on the slow roll. I want to work on my change. I'm going to work on my pickup move. Utilize every minute before and after practice, okay? Important. We had pre-practice duties. Everybody had something. So they had pride on the field. They had pride at their position. They work at it, run to the fence, touch the sign, stretch, pre-practice running routines, throwing drills, bunt station, going to the cages were important. We had things that they had to do before practice. So they just weren't out there shooting the ball. It's a really good point. I have never seen, and I give a throwing lecture at my camps, I used to say, when you guys throw, there's a purpose. That 10 minutes, that 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever you decide to use on throwing is purposeful. You got to be able to catch and throw. Great talk. The other thing I used to say, like you said, you've never seen a guy make a play by talking to somebody else. I used to tell him, I said, why are we working on our knuckleball? Why are we working on curveball? I have never seen a shortstop get a ball in the hole. Throw this knuckleball across the diamond. It's just not going to happen. You never see I'm going to throw a slider across the diamond. I'm going to try to hit the top down with a slider. So throw with a purpose. Make sure that they're always addressing something that has value to it.